South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa has again come on the spotlight following his comment while speaking to SABC on the sidelines of the ongoing United Nations General Assembly in New York. The Zimbabwean election was free and fair. Previously, Ramaphosa came under scrutiny at home and abroad for both congratulating and attending Mnangagwa's inauguration. According to the preliminary report by the SADC Election Observer Mission, Zimbabwe's 23rd August 2023 harmonized elections did not meet regional and international benchmarks governing the running of credible polls. Zimbabwean authorities and representatives of the SADC Election Observer Mission are expected to make presentations to the SADC's heads of state. Mavuto Bamusi, a political analyst, joins in live from Blantyre for more on this. Thank you so much for your time. All right, now, how do you interpret President Ramaphosa's comments about Zimbabwe's elections being free and fair, despite reports of irregularities from independent observers?
The statement made by South African President Ramaphosa does not contain any grain of truth in as far as democracy in Zimbabwe is concerned, in as far as the just ended elections in Zimbabwe is concerned. Looking at the state of political violence that rocked Harare and many other parts of Zimbabwe, the unprecedented levels of electoral fraud, everything that has characterized the just ended elections in Zimbabwe amounts to an election that is pure fraud, not free, cannot even be defined as a fair election. And even adding on to the reports that have come from different election observer missions, including SADC itself, SADC, the Commonwealth Observer Group, almost all the credible and prominent groups have quashed this particular election as a total and a complete sham.
Now, what impact could this statement have on the credibility of future elections, particularly in Zimbabwe and other countries within the SADC region?
You see, what President Ramaphosa has done is to give a direct slap on the democratization process, especially in the Southern African region, especially within the SADC. So look, for example, a number of countries within SADC will be going to the polls, some in the next 12 months and others in the next 48 months. I have in mind Malawi itself. In Malawi, we are going to the polls in 2025. Actually, as we speak, we are already counting down. So Ramaphosa's statement has got a negative effect on the entrenchment of electoral democracy in Malawi and in the neighboring countries around Zimbabwe. And specifically, because I passionately also speak about Malawi here, is the fact that when the President Mnangagwa visited Lilongwe, visited Malawi 3 months ago, he directly emphasized that there is a partnership, there is a relationship between ZANU-PF and the current ruling Malawi Congress Party of President Lazarus Chakwera. So when one analyzes that kind of statement, partnerships and associations, we can already see that there is a lot of negativity which is going to be generated out of the statement that President Ramaphosa has made in Malawi's next coming elections, but also in elections across the SADC region. And one sad thing is that South Africa, or President Ramaphosa, is playing playing the big brother syndrome card, in that whatever Ramaphosa proclaims as a statement may be taken as something which is gospel truth across the region. But for any proponents of democracy, human rights, and electoral accountability, Zimbabwe's election is a sham, and President Ramaphosa is propagating untruths.
All right. How might Zimbabweans who are currently fleeing their country due to economic instability interpret President Ramaphosa's comments? And could it, affect their perception of seeking refuge or assistance in neighboring countries? And also, I want to add to that, are there any potential consequences for President Ramaphosa's own reputation and standing among Zimbabweans, particularly those who criticize the legitimacy of the elections?
Most definitely, there are multiple negative consequences. So, for example, the opposition political parties in Zimbabwe, the democracy activists in Zimbabwe, they have been put in bad light, in the negative light. They are going to be targeted. The most likely, the ZANU-PF machinery is going to descend on these democracy and human rights activists. Secondly, negative effects on Zimbabwe's economy itself. Here is an economy that has been suffering from sanctions for decades, for many years. And then for President Ramaphosa to come in and weigh in on the same and proclaim that Zimbabwe's election was free and fair is to actually fire up the fairness of sanctions that have been destabilizing Zimbabwe's economy. And then, in terms of international migration, there are many Zimbabweans who are fleeing the negative conditions, the worsening economic and the political conditions in Harare and the rest of Zimbabwe. So what President Ramaphosa has done is to give a signal that these people must stay there in Zimbabwe. They must not get out. They must be descended upon and become victim to the negative machinations of the ZANU-PF and the Zimbabwe state. So we should expect a rise in human rights abuses, violence against these people, and the countries surrounding Zimbabwe, including South Africa itself, may close their borders to migrants that are fleeing all these atrocities from Zimbabwe. It's going to be the worst scenario, the worst thing that is going to happen in Zimbabwe, but also for countries around the region.
All right. How can the discrepancy between President Ramaphosa's comments and the observation of independent election observers be resolved to restore public trust in both the electoral process and the leaders of the SADC region? Please, if you can just address this in 30 seconds.
It is important that the leadership of SADC should continue to pressure the Zimbabwe regime, but also make sure that the leadership within SADC, including South Africa, including Ramaphosa himself, should approach matters of electoral accountability with integrity, come to a round table, and perhaps make sure that there is a new arrangement, a new political establishment that embraces all political actors or economic actors in Zimbabwe. So South Africa actually has got a role to play that kind of function. SADC has got a role to play that kind of function, but to leave things in the context within which Ramaphosa has made this statement is to absolutely worsen the conditions of the people in Zimbabwe, is to actually take away, reverse any democratic gains that could have been gained in Zimbabwe, but also in the SADC region.
All right. Thank you so much for your time. Mavuto Bamusi, a political analyst, of course, joining from Malawi. Once again, thank you.
Thank you for having me.